couple seconds, right? Welcome to the very first episode of the Club of Heroes. I'm your host, Chris Bearden.
I'm Evan Arnold.
Seb Tugwell.
And today we're going to talk about the Man of Steel trailer. Came out a couple weeks ago. It's making waves across the internet.
Kind of want to discuss our feelings about the trailer and the past Superman films and kind of where our expectations are. Hope you guys enjoy the show.
So, whose awful idea was this to start a podcast? I think it was Seb.
It was definitely
Seb approached,
not me. Absolutely.
I blame both of you.
No, real talk. I contacted my friend Evan via Facebook and said, we should podcast.
It's not like we live in the same town.
We should do it. We should do a podcast. He was in Nova Scotia for the weekend. But no, all kidding aside, inspired by things like Comic Geek Speak, Raging Bullets, even Word Balloon, I just wanted to throw my voice out there, and I'm lucky enough to have a couple of friends who want to join me in this venture, and we're going to talk about comics, movies, anything that comes to mind. I hope you enjoyed the show.
I guess my inspiration was a little different one. Max Burbank is a guy who used to do articles for a website called iMockery, that's i-mockery.com, and he had a column called Hey Dork, Let's Talk About Comics, and a lot of his things kind of really just touched me on a personal level, because I've never been very good at expressing things about comics, how I felt about them. I've always really loved them. And I really don't know much about comics for someone to like them so much, and that must seem a little silly. But I've really been inspired by the things that he put out. It was just very true to me, I guess, with how I felt about comics. And I'm very excited to kind of give back.
And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But, all kidding aside, I love comic books, I love movies, and I love books, literature, all that sort of stuff. And I always feel that comic books are an underrated medium, and I like talking about them in an intellectual fashion with people who...
Okay. I thought first episode and all, before we jump into talking about the Man of Steel trailer, which will be our topic of the day, anybody remember their first comic book, their earliest comic-related experience? Maybe it's not a comic book, maybe you just remember, like, putting on a, towel around your neck, pretending to be Batman or whatever.
Yeah, I guess my first one actually was, I think it must have been Nightfall 14 or 12, I can't remember. And my sister a long time ago ripped the cover off of the issue, so I can't even tell you now, unless I bother to go look it up, and I'm too lazy for that. But it was the one where Bane, in the beginning, is holding Batman over this building, and he says something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Here is your hero, Gotham. I have broken him," and he throws Batman literally off the building. And I'm a kid at the time. I must have been 10 or 9 years old. And I go, holy crap, Batman just died, because I don't understand how these things work. And I'm like, well, Batman's dead. Now what do I have to do? I guess let's have to read back issues. And that was really the first issue that I really remember that struck me as a child. Of course, Batman really wasn't dead.
Mine was a while ago when I was still living in Britain, and my mum was incredibly overprotective. I wasn't allowed anything violent on the television, in my books, anything. Like, even Power Rangers, off limits. It was too violent. But I remember running down the stairs one morning for Saturday morning cartoons, which was a staple in Britain at the time. And I turned on the TV, my mum wasn't up yet. I happened to turn on Batman the Animated Series. And I still remember the episode. It was Two-Face Part 2, from right near the beginning. So I didn't know what was going on, because I'd missed the first part. But it was undoubtedly the coolest thing I had ever witnessed in my entire life. And, well, ever since then I've loved comic book, well, not really comic books, superhero stuff. I didn't really get into comics until I moved here, because they're not very easy to find back home.
They have those, like, jumbo reprints.
Yeah, exactly. Jumbo reprints that are absolutely useless if you're trying to follow an actual... And they always release them, like, 3 months after the States as well. Drives me insane. Anyway, but yeah, I came here, and I met you guys, actually, and you got me into collecting it, and now I have my own long box.
A hopeless addict.
Yeah.
Driven by the smack of ink and paper.
What a sweet smack it is. For me, when I was real little, like 3 or 4, my older brother got me one of those big wheel, like big plastic tricycle things, and it just had like Batman crap all over it, like little bat symbols on the wheels. So that was my earliest, probably, superhero thing that I can remember, and I probably had some toys and stuff. But from there on out, it was any kind of Batman comic thing, cartoon. I could watch the animated series in the 90s, huge, with me. But
quick question, Chris. Did your big wheel, did it make clicky noises whenever you like rode it?
I don't remember riding
mine made clicky noises. I like a Batman one that made clicky noises. Like on the wheel, like there were stickers of Batman like, doing stuff, and like if you drove really fast.
That might have been the same one. I just remember it was like light blue and black and.
We had the same big wheel.
My brother probably ripped it off from me. You know, you went out in the yard. Like, where's my big wheel?
Now I just want a Batman big wheel.
Yeah.
You know, with my mum, mine was probably a Care Bears or something.
Oh, you can't ride with us. But yeah, Nightfall is probably where I started reading and stuff like that, and the Clone Saga, the stuff that's regarded as, you know, some of the worst comics ever were my first comics. So I remember them pretty fondly. I liked Ben Reilly, and I liked Jean-Paul Valley. Any other significant
comic memories that
yeah.
pop to mind? I guess when I started collecting initially, my dad told me that, you know, when he was a kid growing up in the 50s, he had a stack, like a small stack, not like a long box. Like a small stack, maybe. I know you can't see me measure with my hands, so I'm going to say
shoebox or a
about
drawer.
Shoebox size. And it was just like, you know, Silver Age, maybe late Golden Age, Superman, Batman stuff that he intended on keeping because, you know, he really enjoyed reading them as a kid. And actually, it helped fuel his literacy as a child. The first stuff he read, and he read books, you know. And my grandfather was really kind of a thrifty guy. And he put them away because when he went to college, he didn't take them with him in the garage. And at one point, my grandfather went through the garage to have a garage sale just because he felt like it. Like, he didn't need the money. He just felt like getting rid of stuff. And those comics were the first things to go. So they are gone forever. And I guess, in kind of a weird way, that's why I've been hoarding them.
if not for that, you really could have been in Nova Scotia this weekend on your private jet.
So I guess there's that. Other than that, I mean, we could all talk all day about comics and how they mean to us. And, that's my two most prominent memories, I guess.
So, shall we move on to the topic of the day? Man of Steel trailer. Everybody out there has seen it. If you're listening to a comic book podcast, you've probably seen the freaking trailer. Let's be real here.
If you haven't, pause it and go watch
it. Yeah, it's great stuff. I hope it's a good movie because they made a damn good trailer. But first impressions, fears, maybe apprehensions, things.
I have to say that it looks really good. Like, I know you already said it looks good, but it looks really good. It shows a side of Superman doesn't necessarily seem action-packed. It shows kind of a more humanistic side of the Man of Steel. I'm interested as to why they called it Man of Steel instead of Superman. You know, Man of Steel is like a secondary name or title or whatever. And I think maybe part of the reason is to kind of focus on his alienness as well at the same time, because his suit, if you look at it, it's a differently designed suit.
Well, his little gauntlet.
Yeah, he's like gauntlets. He's like wearing like almost like chainmail, you know, kind of like a weird design. So at the same time, I think it's focusing on Superman as his personality, I guess, as a character, and the fact that he's regarded kind of as this unknown element, kind of a scary thing. Because in the trailer, it shows that at one point, or a couple points, he's like surrounded by soldiers for whatever reason.
And they're bringing him in.
He's right, which I thought was really interesting.
Well, I agree with all that, but I don't necessarily think that's why they call it Man of Steel. I think they went with Man of Steel, one, to differentiate it from Superman, which was the Christopher Reeve, because, you know, we've tried that Superman Returns connection. You don't want to tie that in again. This is a reboot. And also, Man of Steel, it's kind of like Dark Knight in the way it's an epithet. It's even got the same font, if you look. And they want to make that connection. Dark Knight was freaking brilliant. It was amazing. That's something we want to tie into, you know? Build on that success.
You want to see how General Zod hides the pencil, you know? I am curious. This is some fanboy stuff, but did anybody else notice the like spaceships and stuff?
Yeah.
Are we? This could be bigger than just like General Zod, Ursa, and Nan. What if there's a whole gang, a League of Shadows from Krypton, if you will, you know?
Well, isn't most Zod stories... Okay, no, not most, but I'm assuming that we're going to see Phantom Zone as a way to explain how a bunch of Kryptonians have managed to hang out during the destruction of their home planet, which is Superman needed a rocket. Sorry, Kal-El needed a rocket. I assume the Phantom Zone will be the catch-all explanation of mass survival.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I hope they're stuck in like the flying Polaroid thing. Like, oh.
I guess I could also tie into this why Superman might be seen as a threat. You know, I mean, if it is Zod in the spaceships, it might be. I'm not saying I know for sure. I don't have the script in front of me.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be interesting.
No, that would just ruin it.
I'd have to burn like the last page.
Because then your favorite line in the script, when you actually watch the movie, it's not even a big line, you know? Like
I'd have to write it in.
Yeah.
But if Zod is in the film, and he is the menace to Earth that he usually is, maybe that's why the military is arresting Superman, or some government agency is trying to stop Superman.
Yeah, they're taking him in to see if he's got a connection to this, like, alien Al-Qaeda, if you will, you know? Like, hey, you can fly around like these other guys. You must be one of them.
Yeah, that would work.
He has to turn himself in willingly, though. This is a trust thing. I don't imagine we're going to have, like, the army taking down.
And you get that wonderful line at the end of the trailer. My father was convinced that...
They weren't ready for me.
Like yeah. And then, what do you think? That kind of makes me think that's him asking the people of Earth, are you ready?
Oh, yeah, because I kind of thought he was talking to Lois, but...
Oh, very possibly.
You might be onto something there. Yeah. He could be addressing the army guys, like the soldiers.
That's something I didn't see in the trailer. I didn't pick up on right away. Lois is... I didn't see her.
Lois is right at the end.
Oh, is
she
she?
grabs her hand.
I'm just blind. Scratch that.
It's just some random lady.
Speaking of that, what do you think of the people they cast?
Not familiar with Cavill at all. Amy Adams, great actress.
Well, yeah, Amy Adams is Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Cavill, what did I see him in recently? Immortals. You see that?
I missed
it. It was crap. Don't. But he was good in it.
Who did he play in Immortals?
He was I don't know, some Perseus. Big shirt off most of the movie.
Oh, well, he's got to put a shirt on. He's Superman, you know.
Are we sure? There's a scene in the trailer.
Oh yeah. He's gonna. Yeah. The super chest hair doesn't burn either.
No, I like Henry Cavill a lot. I think he's a better Superman than he would have been Batman. I know he was in the running for that for a while.
No way. I didn't know that.
He was in the running for that and Edward in Twilight. Should freak you the hell out.
How old is he?
I don't know, but apparently that's.
Apparently he's a Highlander. So
yeah.
I like a lot. They've got Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White.
Yeah, offering Jimmy the blue pill, red pill thing.
Black Perry White to make old fanboys of conservative nature scream at their movie.
I don't know. Do you want to hear him do the Great Caesar's Ghost stuff still, or?
I don't know. If you can't have Neil before Zod, can you really have Great Caesar's Ghost?
No, no, you can't.
It's kind of left finger.
I just love the catchphrases. Jimmy Olsen. Do we know if he's in it or any casting for that?
And they told me who was playing Zod, but I can't remember.
It's Michael Shannon, I think.
Oh yeah.
Boardwalk Empire.
Oh,
he's like from a show called Boardwalk Empire. I haven't seen it. No.
That's a really cool show, actually.
Oh, really?
I enjoy it. If you like anything that's about the Roaring '20s, and if you like Steve Buscemi.
All the cats.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Okay. Useful iPhone. Russell Crowe. How did I forget to mention Russell Crowe?
Yeah, it's Jor-El. You talked about it earlier when we were driving over.
Oh yeah.
That was your moment to remember.
Krypton is exploding. Are you not entertained?
I saw Les Miserables. However the hell you.
Les Mis.
Les Mis. That one. Yesterday. With my girlfriend, I might add. and he's singing throughout the whole thing. So it's gonna be weird seeing him not singing now when he shows up in. I kind of want him to lament the loss of Krypton in song.
What if he does though? Krypton is exploding. Put my son on the ship. What did you think about the part in the trailer where Clark Kent reveals to those kids that he's an alien being when he saves the school bus with the children inside of it?
Oh, that's so far the Smallville stuff and him traveling the world. Everything pre-costume looks really interesting and getting kind of a Batman Begins vibe and all that.
It's my favorite part of the trailer.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree with that. It's really interesting to see Clark Kent acting as the Man of Steel before he decides that he wants to be the Man of Steel. Because at that age, there's at one point in the trailer where Pa Kent is like, maybe you shouldn't have saved them. And, there's been some backlash about that, but I really feel that he's just acting in the interest of his own son, He's worried about his son, and he doesn't want his son to be in danger, because he doesn't know what the limits to his powers are.
Mm.
I mean, what if he couldn't lift the bus and, then he died too, and for a pointless cause? Of course he doesn't, because there has to be a movie. But that's his line of thinking. I can kind of see.
Yeah, he's just a father looking out for his son.
Yeah.
And I still think we're going to have the Pa Kent we know and love from the comics, but he's going to have to learn to like the idea of his son as Superman, flying around in a costume, being the savior and everything.
I also like the idea that Clark doesn't agree with everything that Pa Kent says, because I know I didn't agree with everything my dad said, and I became my own person due to his influence, and my other parents, of course. But I'm not a carbon copy, and a lot of people kind of go, oh, Superman's that because he wants to be like his dad. And I think actually he's not a carbon copy.
Maybe Pa Kent's fear and paranoia is going to shape him into Superman. Yeah.
Do you think that in the film there'll be a point where Pa Kent is so distraught about the things that his son is doing that he'll try and distance himself for a time?
Maybe he'll turn to the bottle.
But do you think they'll do the heart attack story where he dies of a heart attack?
Oh yeah. Will they even go there?
And because that's a great story.
That's Superboy becoming Superman, learning he can't save everybody. Yeah.
It's very Uncle Ben, but
it's the same. It's the same burglar.
So I guess going on what we saw in Returns, do you expect there to be much of a Donner-esque influence in this film that's coming out?
No, maybe visually, but that's just us, the way we look at it. But I think it's going to be a clean break. Like, this is going to be Zack Snyder's vision. Hopefully Snyder is going to be maybe reined in a little bit from...
Sucker Punch.
Yeah, reined in a little bit by Christopher Nolan, who's producing... I don't know.
He's producing his brother's screenwriter, I think.
Jonathan Nolan?
Okay. The guy who did all
And David Goyer?
Yeah,
is he involved too?
Yeah,
or? He's a screenwriter too, and a great comic book writer too. Co-wrote a huge chunk of JSA with Jeff Johns.
Cool.
Yeah.
In the Returns film, we've discussed this a little bit between all of us before we started recording. I think we all kind of feel that the version in Returns is kind of just done or updated with prettier graphics and prettier special
Love
effects.
letter to Donner, if you will.
And there's nothing wrong with playing homage, but if that's going to be your whole movie...
It was due a lot because of the... Christopher Reeve died very recently when that film started production as well. And I think that sort of turned the movie into something that it wasn't necessarily meant to be in the first place. If that makes sense.
No, that's interesting because kind of like The Dark Knight Rises might have been an entirely different movie if Heath Ledger hadn't died, And
definitely.
But no, I think there'll be a clean. As you said, I think there'll be a clean break. I think they'll deliberately distance themselves from the original. Well, what is it? 1, 2, 3,
quadrilogy.
4, well, the Superman Returns count 5.
Yeah, it's like Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
They come back later.
We're going to count the Quest for Peace.
Yes.
I think we have to count the Quest for Peace, just for purely humorous reasons.
For the not Bizarro character.
Oh yeah.
for his hair holding up items in that museum.
Is that the one where Superman's like drinking and stuff? Like he's
Quest for Peace?
yeah. Is that
I can't remember. It's the one where he disarms all the nuclear weapons. I remember that one.
Right.
okay?
I think I've repressed it, if I'm honest.
3 and 4 are a blur. Like I just know Richard Pryor's in that one. And
Superman 4 is buried in my backyard along with, Alien 4 and other bad movies that are
Mega
ending
Shark
fours.
versus Giant Octopus.
Well, that's on the shelf. That's
Tour de force.
That's a special kind of bad.
Mega Shark's breakout performance. Do we think there's a villain we haven't seen yet? Like, you had Scarecrow and Roz in Batman Begins. Again, to draw a parallel to that trilogy that just wrapped. But do you think we'll have like a Metallo or a...
I don't know what you guys think. I think they will do Amazing Spider-Man in this one. I know you haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay. Right. Briefly,
All right.
Amazing Spider-Man. The Lizard is the villain. And he's really the only villain of the story.
They hint at Osborn.
They hint a lot.
I've already kind of had it
Exactly.
spoiled for
So what I think we're going to see is Zod's going to be the main villain. Or maybe not the main villain. Maybe the main villain will be, the world. Seeing if we can accept Superman.
We're the
Zod's
real
the
monsters.
Exactly. But we're going to see hints to... We're going to see hints to something. And you know they're going to be setting up a sequel. A franchise, more than likely.
Well, the thing is with Superman villains, there are only so many of them that you can do. I mean, Toyman, there's not going to be a movie with Superman with Toyman as the main villain.
Don't tell me that. I want Toyman in one of these movies so bad. I couldn't picture them doing Scarecrow,
Sure.
And they kind of made that work.
Okay, I'll give you that one. But, Brainiac, he's probably higher on the list than Toyman. Or, Mr. Mystic.
Mitzias Pitlick. Or Mitzelplick.
Is it Mitzelplick?
Yeah, if you're talking to Alex Ross, comic artist Alex Ross, it's Mitzelplick. But to the rest of the sane world, it's Mitzias Pitlick.
Does this mean he's going to pop into reality and screw everything up now?
I don't know. Who would play Mitzi?
I don't know.
Maybe that midget who played the clone of Dr. Evil in Austin Powers.
That's awful. Who's what's the character from Game of Thrones? The little fella.
Oh, I haven't
Tinian.
seen Game of Thrones yet.
Okay.
Don't embarrass me.
It's alright. I saw like 2 of them, but
you saw both thrones.
I was like, "Where's the game? When do they play?" I just picture the little man from Game of Thrones as Mixie.
Okay.
Little bowler cat. No, we're way off the Man of Steel movie trailer.
Well, real quickly.
I think they will definitely hint at Brainiac. Definitely Lex. There's no way they're going to do Superman.
Could they build the second movie around Lex the way the second the recent Batman trilogy was built around Joker? Do you think they could have an actor really steal the show, Again, we're talking about a movie that's not even been made yet. But I just keep thinking they're going to try to replicate the success of the Batman movies.
Who would it be, though? I mean, Kevin Costner already tried his hand at being Lex.
No, Spacey.
No,
Spacey. I said Spacey the first time.
This will all be edited out in post. No.
Titties. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, let's face it. When they announced Heath Ledger as the Joker, I know I went, holy crap, they've ruined Joker. I nearly cried. But then the movie came out, and actually, he's a pretty damn good Joker.
Do you think he's better than the Nicholson version?
No, I can't stand the Nicholson version.
Really?
Yeah, I hate those 89 Batman films. I gotta admit. Like, the first one's okay, but why is Joker the one that kills Batman's parents? It just ruins the whole thing.
But isn't it like every movie, the bad guy, he's like, I think it was Two-Face who killed my parents.
Yeah.
Like every movie, like, maybe it was Mr. Freeze.
But the Bat Dance should make that.
No, I'm good.
Prince.
And then
Prince should have been Joker.
Oh my god.
And then Batman Returns. I mean, Penguin. Ruined Penguin. Danny DeVito. I like, what's his name? Christopher Walken in that movie.
Max Schreck.
Yeah, I like that guy.
That was pretty nifty.
And Catwoman actually having 9 lives. No, don't like it.
And Magic Cat's licking her back to life after she falls up.
The only magic that's allowed in Batman is magic cats.
Asshole. That's just...
Not even Batman and Robin?
Batman and Robin remain.
It's the best one. Nice to see you.
Let's kill the dinosaurs.
See, that's the worst line. It's not even a pun. You just said a fact. It's truth. Why?
He's very cold. He's not thinking straight.
He's constantly got freeze brain.
I had a friend. She said the best line once. She said, "Why I complained about the bat nipples." She simply said, "He's fighting Mr. Freeze," as if it explained everything.
I never thought of that before.
As well it should.
I'm glad I never thought of that before. Now I can't unthink it.
Oh man, it sucks. So, do you think that after this film comes out, whether it's well received or not, how much of an impact will it have on Superman as depicted in comic books?
Well, I think we're already seeing the new 52 version of Superman imprinted on the screen here because they got rid of the undies, right, which they did in the new 52. In the new 52 Superman comics, he's not really with Lois at all. He's with Wonder Woman even. So I think the comics are kind of informing the movies this go around.
So do you think that maybe this will be a setup for the JLA movie? Because if they follow the New 52, they'll have a Wonder Woman film, probably, and the two of them will get together.
One can only hope I get a Wonder Woman film. I've been trying for years.
Yes. Lots of Amazon Island training montages.
Yeah.
You gotta earn your toga. Personally, I want to see a Flash film. I think the Flash would lend himself to a movie really well.
If we translate Aquaman the way Jeff Johns is writing it right now, I wouldn't love that.
Right? Oh, that'll be another episode altogether. We'll have to talk Aquaman sometime. That's a great series.
I think you need to look at this in the way the studios will look at this. Because Superman is a cash cow, and so is Justice League. Now, from a filmmaker's perspective, a film is going to help DC sell comics. So to have a Superman that does stuff that he doesn't do in the comics, well, that doesn't make any sense. You're just going to confuse the people who are going to buy your comic books.
That's why Jonah Hex the comic didn't blow up after Jonah Hex the movie, maybe?
Possibly. I mean,
the movie wasn't very good to start with, so.
Didn't see it.
Yeah, it was, you didn't miss anything.
Soundtrack was the best part.
I was talking to a friend of mine. He runs the comic book the store up in Shannon, Italian, and he was saying that before the Avengers came out, every Marvel title was being outsold by Aquaman. Now, that's partially because Aquaman
all was right in the world.
Amazing right now, but also, and then of course, the Avengers came out, and you watched Avengers vs. X-Men, which was coming out at the time. His sales went through the roof because people saw Avengers, went, that was a great movie. Let's
so did he actually have people coming in who weren't already comic fans?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you hear a lot of retailers say the opposite, that they don't see an increase in sales. It's more things like Walking Dead or Scott Pilgrim. The superhero movies don't translate to superhero comic sales, but I don't know. Avengers was a huge movie, though.
Yeah, but I think Man of Steel will be a huge movie as well. And to have them, to portray a Superman that isn't the Superman we see in the comics, I think that's idiocy. You're just costing yourself money. That's why I don't think you're going to see Martian Manhunter in the Justice League.
You're going to see Cyborg?
You're going to see
have the new Big Seven
exactly.
of Cyborg.
Who had a hell of a power increase. My goodness.
Yeah. Although, I don't want to talk about the Justice League comic. We get very derailed here. Moving on. What, if any, like, year one kind of informs Batman Begins, right? Like, there's little bits. What, like, Superman origin comics do you want to see them pull from, if any? Like Man of Steel, Birthright, Man of Steel the comic, obviously, the John Byrne miniseries.
I guess if I had to pick one, I'd like to do a Superman for All Seasons.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think that might be the angle that they're approaching it with, at least with the first issue. Part of that, especially with him just arriving to Earth, discovering his powers, and kind of accepting him as for who he is, as the Man of Steel, and him coming into himself as the Man of Steel, and then just going from there. I can kind of see they're taking little bits and pieces from it, in the trailer, but that's what I'd like to see. Superman for All Seasons is one of my favorite Superman books, so I'd like to see that.
There's a scene in the John Byrne Man of Steel miniseries. After Superman has his first big kind of coming out, where I forget what his first adventure is, or the first thing he does. Maybe he rescues Lois, like in the movie or whatever. People just surround him and are like, help me, take my baby, blah blah blah. Just everybody's trying to get Superman to help them in some way, taking advantage of him, I guess. And he flies back to the farm in Kansas, and he's like in his room, just kind of huddled up, kind of shaken by the experience. And I forget if it's Ma or Pa Kent comes in, and they're, like, Clark, what's wrong? And he's like, they all wanted a piece of me. They all wanted a piece of me, Ma. I was like, I'd like to see that recreated, in the current movie. But I don't know if we're going to be talking about living parents, because in the New 52, both his parents are dead.
No, I don't have as much experience with the older comics as you guys do. Most of my comic knowledge is relatively recent. I've read Birthright, and I liked it a lot, and the trailer seems really informed by it.
Traveling the world and everything.
Yeah, exactly, and the beard. But
will he be a vegan, like in Birthright?
I don't know. I don't think we need any advertising of the vegan diet.
This is a non-vegan club of
This is the man of pork and beans, alright?
We only eat Campbell's pork and beans here.
It's an American, damn it. You should be eating McDonald's every day. Oh, the true American.
Double lane drive-thru.
Double lane drive-thru.
So, since we've established that he's still going to be this journalist-type figure, I think they're really going to update that. I mean, newspapers don't sell like they used to when Superman first came out. It's just a fact. I'm willing to bet he's going to have maybe like his own personal blog. He's going to travel around maybe partially in his own dime,
Yeah.
And kind of just write from his perspective and not necessarily be leashed to an office on a desk.
It's kind of a Birthright thing where I think at the beginning of Birthright he's in Africa and he's like writing about a civil war going on or something.
I mean, you probably wouldn't have much face-to-face interaction with Perry, I'm willing to imagine, just because that's really kind of the nature of the beast now. Newspaper buildings.
So he can type Great Caesar's Ghost. He doesn't have to say it. We can still get it in the movie.
It's not something I thought of him as a blogger. It kind of works. I don't know. Looking at this from a film angle, because, I love my movies a lot. I went to see Les Mis. I love my movie. I think the fact that we've cast such a name as Perry White means I don't think he's going to be pushed to the sidelines. Otherwise, you'd cast an unknown actor. You'd give a bigger role to someone who will probably bring in a couple weird fans. Yes.
Tenet.
Yeah.
He's too cute to be Perry White, hopping around on the desk and stuff.
How long is he, Superman?
So, I think they'll update it in a much simpler way. I think the Daily Planet will be Daily Planet news media. He'll be a writer for some television news now. He'll be one of those lackeys at a CNN studio or Daily Planet.
In the most recent, or as far as I have of the Superman series right now, New 52, not Action Comics. It's by Scott Lobdell and art by Kenneth Rockford, I think. He actually walks out on his job at the Daily Planet because he's frustrated with how artificial the news they're producing is, that they're basically turning into like a gossip rag. They're not a legit newspaper. And he does what you were saying. He goes and starts his own blog. And I was like, that's kind of a cool way to shake things up. Yeah, got a couple issues of it.
Ooh, I'll find them.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
They're on top, right under the most recent Batman. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So in general, what do you think of Clark Kent's chosen occupation as a person who is also the Man of Steel?
Well, he can be a hell of a foreign correspondent, because he can be anywhere.
I think he simply chose it because it's one of those professions that if you're running, it's one of the professions where you're not running away from a crime, you're running towards a crime. And if he runs down a street in the opposite way of everything else, people will go, "What the heck is that guy doing?" But if he's got a press pass on, everyone goes, "Oh, yeah, let him through."
Yeah, he's a nut. Yeah. He won't even need the phone booth because he can just run into the burning building, change, and like that guy's crazy. Who's he gonna interview? You know, like, the place is already burning.
So, how do you like being cooked? Papa's in there. But that's a much more practical answer than the lofty bullshit I was going to say. Is that as a news person, ideally
we thrive on lofty bullshit on this show, sir.
Ideally, you should be a person that informs the public of what's going on. And Superman is not a person, I think, that would hide truths from you. He'd want to expose them, for better or worse. And, you know, I mean, when I think of my journalism heroes, I think of the guys that, you know, broke, like, the Watergate scandal, or something like that. And I think Superman would be someone who would do something like that. We talked about yesterday kind of how he was a force for social change, like a living New Deal when he came out. And I think that would be something you continue in, a vein working for social good, in kind of a really obvious way as Superman, but also in a really subtle way as Clark.
I like what you said, that he's informing the people what's going on. It's like another superpower. It's another way he can help out while he's washing his chainmail super suit.
How would you clean
Rust-Oleum, I guess.
With the beard of steel.
The beard of steel.
The steel Brillo on his chin.
So what do you make of the beard? Like, I've never... This is the first time I've seen him on the silver screen with facial hair.
It's cool. Obviously, he's gonna ditch it and become Superman.
He has to. He's just Super Moses.
Yeah.
It works. It looks cool. It does. I do hope, like you were saying, I want the laser shaving.
Laser shaving in the mirror, yeah. I don't know. Should we file that with the Great Caesar's Ghost and the Kneel Before Zod stuff?
Whenever you say laser shaving, the first thing I think of is that stupid scene in Wolverine Origins where he accidentally cuts the snake in half for no good reason.
That movie's funny because he's adopted by Ma and Pa Kent, pretty much.
This begs the question, that heat vision seems to be able to melt through pretty much anything. How is he able to bounce it off a regular bathroom mirror?
The mirror is made from material in the rocket ship his mom found, just like his costume.
Nice explanation.
So you think we'll see much super ventriloquism in this movie?
I don't know.
I don't know how they're going to squeeze that
popcorn
one.
heating. Is that an episode of Smallville where he makes popcorn with his heat vision?
I don't know. I just remember in Smallville, the heat vision was triggered by like, what's the word? He had that. Yeah, he had that like hot teacher that set off his. And then he went out. He went out with Pa Kent into the yard, and they were like practicing on bales of hay. And he's like, "Well, son, what do you have to think about?" And he's like uncomfortable talking about it. And you look outside, and he just like burned the mailbox and the fence and everything because he thought about the Lana or whatever. The show was good until it turned into Challenge of the Super Friends.
Yeah, what was with that? And the last episode, I had to watch it because it was the last episode. You had this god-awful flashback that allowed him to fly. I'm not sure if you saw it or not.
No, I didn't.
It was him fighting the bastardized son of Darkseid. No way in hell it was Darkseid. And he gets punched into the barn, and he's flying through the air, and he has a memory attack of all the wonderful things that have happened to him throughout however god many seasons they made of that show. And then suddenly, after having the super flashback, he is able to fly and defeat Darkseid with one super flying punch.
One super Shoryuken, if you will.
No, I could never really get behind Smallville. Lois and Kent,
or
Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Is that what it was called? Lois. I think it was just called Lois and Clark. It was a '90s show. You never saw that with Dean Cain, Terry Hatcher.
Episodes, but I never.
Yeah.
That was a better show. Man.
That was kind of cool. And didn't that dealt with them getting married? And did they have a kid at the end of the show or something? So.
There was a natural progression. Like Smallville, it's all over the place. I can never tell what's
every season. Everybody learns about his powers and forgets.
You had to have a wall chart.
I think the Men in Black just visit that town at the end of every month. Like,
Agents J and K back on the farm.
Hey, look at this. You've forgotten that he is Superman until next season. See you folks then.
Intergalactic Kegger.
And then you have the red, blue, blur, which is god awful. He was defeated every time he saved someone. It wasn't worse.
No, really, was he like tagging?
He was tagging with his heat vision. He'd carve the S whenever he saved a human being.
Superman's a super vandal. Check that out, Jimmy. Zoinks!
I do want to stop talking about Smallville. It depresses me.
They had such a problem with having him in a Superman costume, but they had fucking Hawkman on that show. That was the last one I saw. Yeah, he's like, here I come, I'm Hawkman.
Thought he was pulling on those wings with cords. Those are paper mache wings.
There's one scene when he's supposed to land as Hawkman. He just lands with his wings extended, bang, and then they just sort of go in slowly. It was the most fake looking.
Hawkman, turn off the dark.
You remember that end episode of the Venture Brothers where like the Monarch gets like his carapace of doom, like his like
the Death's Head panoply. Yeah, I remember.
It's pretty much what the wings were like in Hawkman.
Yeah, Dr. Fate was cool though.
Yeah,
Dr. Fate's always kind of cool though. He doesn't.
Stargirl was not cool.
She's so hot.
Yeah, but that show suffers from such CW syndrome, as I like to call it.
Like Arrow it's creeping into Arrow.
Wants to be sexy. I don't get it. There's no way in hell that everyone in Metropolis is a 10 on the 12 scale. It's ludicrous.
Have either of you seen Arrow?
Yeah, I've been watching it.
It's like his scars were made by Ralph Lauren. You know, like even though he's all cut up from being on the island for 5 years. He's still like a beefcake. Like the scars don't even look.
Yeah, and how did he learn Russian on the island? Which is a plot point.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to meet a lot of people on that island.
It was on his iPad.
Yeah. He has to invent the iPad. Him and the old Chinese man.
It's like Gilligan's Island. It's kind of like coconuts and bamboo. I have created an iPad.
And power outlet and electricity and all that. Wi-Fi, of course.
What if that guy in Castaway had superpowers? I made fire. An iPad. That joke was stupid. Just cut that out.
He's talking to the iPad. Wilson!
He's drawing a face on it. But we've strayed so far left of home now.
What we were supposed to be talking about?
The man is still
Clark Kent, he's on an island for 5 years. To fulfill his father's dying wishes, he has to become someone else. Something else. Arrow. Man of Steel. There's a part we didn't really touch on yet. The isolation Superman, not just, his poo-poo feelings and everything, but that bit where he's in the water just to kind of drown out hearing everybody's voices. And it's juxtaposed with... that's probably not the right word. With him talking to his mom, like having to follow his mom's voice. You remember that bit in the trailers?
You know what? I hadn't even made that connection. Of course, he's drowning everyone out.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that either.
And they just want to have, they just want to have Cavill in the water, all let the super beard float around.
Even the pose is like very, messianic, I guess.
Some guy you may have heard of.
Also rocking a super beard, actually.
Oh, yeah. There's that.
And then there's the music as well. I mean, angelic choruses in Latin.
Just waiting on a super Judas.
I don't know if it's Latin.
That's all you hear when you're underwater. You can't make out voices anymore.
Just ask off.
That's why he left. That's why he's living in a lighthouse.
So do you think he'll have the Fortress of Solitude in this one? Think he'll build it?
They kind of hinted at that because he was out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
and he does this badass fly.
Oh, the slow motion dust.
At first, when you just see that white ground and the cape and the feet and he's walking, I was like, please be on the moon. That would be so cool if he was just like, I'm leaving.
This planet sucks. Gonna go to Mars.
He has to carry Zod to space jail at the end.
I think they'd probably include the Fortress of Solitude. I mean, it's a nice, easy, how do I talk with my dead Kryptonian father? Fortress of Solitude. Oh, yeah, that was.
Do you think they'll discover, quote-unquote, discover more footage of Marlon Brando? Use him with Russell Crowe's voice coming out of the mouth. And he says Krypton. And he's like, it's Krypton. He's like, I fucking live there. It's Krypton.
Marlon Brando, like, half alive, half dead, Sprogen just chatting it. I'm giving you an offer you can't refuse. Superman! Not sure what movie he's in.
Just give him an offer he couldn't refuse.
the first Richard Donner Superman movie.
I think it's going to be a great movie. I mean, I like Zack Snyder. Yeah, okay, I'm going to forget Sucker Punch, because that movie was god-awful.
I haven't seen it.
It is not worth seeing. That is a 3-year-old's fantasy about boobs.
3-year-old's fantasy about boobs?
What's your pull quote? You had a pull quote on Sucker Punch. It's the way you described Sucker Punch.
I don't remember. I just remember it was like, to me, I was just watching it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like one long music video. Like, I kept waiting for something to happen. Like, I was like, are they going to music again? Like, really? What did I used to say about it?
That's what you would say. That's what I was talking about. You're like, this is like one long music video.
I'm going to forget that one. 300 and Watchmen, they were stylish, and it's got his style about it, that kind of crisp.
Yeah.
That crisp slow motion, he likes his slow motion.
Oh, he loves it. He thrives off of it.
The whole looking at the point of view of the cape almost. Down low. That's very
well, of course, this isn't the first time he's worked with comic book material.
Yeah.
With the Watchmen, I really felt that he tried to stick with the source material as much as possible. I think with the Superman movie that's coming out, he's going to need a lot more free reign to pick and choose from works that he can adapt into his vision of what film should be about.
He's got star power now as well. I mean, he's got that. He doesn't have as much as the Nolan brothers, obviously, but if Christopher Nolan wants to make a movie now, he could pretty much make whatever the hell he wants.
Oh yeah.
And Zack Snyder, he's not there, but he's got enough power behind his name that he can kind of tell people what to do.
Yeah, because I think the reception to Watchmen, I don't know what kind of box office it did or anything, but it was kind of lukewarm,
Yeah.
And a lot of people I know who saw Watchmen and had never read the Watchmen or had never heard of it didn't really dig it. But people who had read the comic loved the movie.
Yeah. I read the graphic novel before I went there, and I took my friends with me. It's gonna be great, guys. You'll love it. It wasn't the first opening night. I waited for Rotten Tomatoes to tell me what was up before I went over and spent my money, because I'm cheap. And we went, and every 5 minutes, what the hell's going on, Evan? And I'd have to do an aside and be like, okay, this is the part that's happening right now. And they'd be like, oh, okay. Every 5 minutes. And at one point, they're like, why is there so much damn music in this? I'm like, God, it's a graphic novel, playlist. Like, I felt like the tour guide, like a tour guide.
You look to your left, Dr. Manhattan's penis.
Well, they waited to reveal it. I mean, it was like, are we going to see his penis? And it was like, no, we're going to cut away at the last second. So when you did see it, you were almost happy to see the penis.
Yeah, they made you want it. They gave him they added a little too, because I remember the comic.
The CGI had a little dingle dangle there. There's some live motion. Oh dear.
I saw Watchmen at the Alamo Draft House at midnight, and I was certain somebody was going to show up naked and covered in blue paint. Thank God they did not. Although I think I was sitting next to a Rorschach, and behind me.
Did he smell?
No.
Did he have a can of pork and beans? Eating it slowly.
Slurp. Going herm.
Knowing that it is draft house, you can probably buy pork and beans at the place.
So, obviously Watchmen's pretty violent work. Superman usually isn't as violent a comic. Do you think that Zack will bring the level of violence in 300 and Watchmen to this film? That's something I've wondered about. Like, if Krypto's there, the Wonder Dog, is going to get hit by a car, and like Superman going to melt people with his vision or punch them apart like in Fist of the North Star? Like,
will he be throwing tires through people like in the new 52 Justice League?
No, I think you got to look at this from a film perspective as well, and again a studio perspective. They're after money. They don't. At the end of the day, the studio doesn't give a crap about Superman. They care about the money that he brings, and kids want to see Superman. This movie is going to be PG-13 at max.
Well, all the Nolan Batmans were too, right? I don't think even
they were
Dark
hard
Knight.
PG-13s.
Yeah.
Batman was not having a pillow fight with Bane.
Your mind or your pillow.
Still, I mean, there's no blood. There's practically no blood in that movie. They get pretty violent, but never anything.
No,
you don't see a knife go through a guy's elbow, which I believe you see in Watchmen at one point.
Yeah. You see that? I mean, even with the in Dark Knight, when Joker gets ready to cut that guy, they do a cutaway.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
They're very good about that in that movie.
And it's a good cutaway. It's not like a lame cutaway.
Yeah.
You get that nasty sound.
Yeah, that sound. That's enough for me. I really don't need to see the effect. I know what he's gonna do. I know what's gonna do to the guy. Cutaways can be a very effective tool. But Zach just loves violence so much. Like, I wonder if he just gets a boner sometimes. Superman's just gonna melt this guy's head. It's gonna run around on fire.
That's why Christopher Nolan is there, though, to be like, hey. They're like, no more soda for you today, you know.
Well, I don't see why they can't just make the violence obvious answer. Like, why don't they just make the violence on the villain's role, you know, and nice see how Superman deals with it, you know, in a confrontational but non sort of violent way.
Because doesn't he try and talk down Zod the first encounter they have? He talks to him. His interaction.
Oh, you mean in Superman 2?
Yeah.
Oh,
talks to him, right?
Believe so.
My Superman 2 is rusty. But
I don't think he's gonna talk to him.
His first encounter, though, I think is the big fight. Because isn't he powerless when Zod comes to Earth? Because he does the whole thing where he goes with Lois to the...
Yeah.
They make love on his awesome, shiny super bed, and then they... and then he gets in the...
Zod kind of, beats the shit out of him, and then when Superman finally gets his powers back, doesn't he,
They reverse the thing in the machine, and... I hope they don't do that. He rips the S.H.I.E.L.D. off and throws at it.
Oh, no. That's the part of the movie that made me cry the most.
Watch, you're going to get the next issue of Grant Morrison Action Comics. He's going to bring that back. And then it's going to be in the movie.
Yeah, I think Julie definitely brings up a good point. I see Zod using his powers on people, whatever. It's like using insecticide in an anthill. It doesn't bother him. Superman, definitely more conservative.
Well, that's how, Snyder can, vent all of his fucking, I need to have violence in this movie.
His blood boner just
yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
No one's stop it.
Stop it! Go to your room.
He has a spray bottle full of water.
Like a cat on a screen door, you know?
That's a good point that you make, because Superman really shouldn't be that violent either.
Oh, no. Hell no.
And I'd be really disappointed if he was, because I think it's now, my nephews, they're at the age where they love, all superheroes, but they also love, really violent graphic games, and it's just, if they could enjoy Superman as it's truly supposed to be, and not get a Superman where it's just, like he said, he's, fucking thrown and tired, and, rips somebody's arm off. If they can enjoy that, I'll be like, okay, humanity has, a couple more years left. We're still okay.
Yeah, when Superman is turned into Roadhouse.
But yeah, I mean, both Julie and Seb make good points. It has to be palpable enough to take your kids to it. Because, Superman's been traditionally kind of a family outing type, all for ages type of movie. I have no problem seeing Batman fuck someone up like something terrible. But Superman? That's not what he does, unless he's being written in a different way than he usually is.
Well, and I mean, Superman can cut loose on a guy like Zod.
Oh, yeah.
When he's fighting bank robbers, he can't do much of anything, you know?
Damn burglars.
Those burglars! Burgling everything. But no, Zod, they can have a real, dust up.
Oh, definitely.
Is a dust up a fight? I don't know.
Proper British turbo.
Is a hootenanny a fight? I ask myself these questions.
What's that Justice League Unlimited? Is it Justice League Unlimited where he just cuts loose on Doc?
And he gives that speech, I live in a world of cardboard.
No.
Yeah.
So damn cool. Why doesn't Bruce Timm make all of the DC movies?
He still does the animated ones.
Give him Justice League. Why are we even talking about everyone else? Just give Bruce Timm.
Justice League maybe shouldn't be a live-action movie. Maybe they should go the Incredibles route, do a CGI.
Yeah, I see it, but again, practically from a film point of view, animated movies like that, they just won't make as much as one.
Yeah.
Plus, Warner Brothers doesn't have any of those massive animated. I mean, they can.
Yeah, they don't have
one
a
easy.
Pixar
Yeah,
level.
they can make one easy, but Gotham.
So I guess that kind of wraps up our thoughts on Superman. Or
Yeah, did anybody have anything else you wanted to say about the trailer? Any thoughts?
Oh, bloody hell, we've been speaking
No?
for an hour?
No.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about the part where he like flies away? I think that's like the best part in the whole trailer.
the flight sequence?
Yeah, like even in the teaser, it's like the
It
little.
takes off and the pebbles are like...
It's like, yeah, that's how Superman's supposed to
It cracks the
look.
ground and there's a sonic boom as
Yeah.
he goes up. Oh, yeah, it was. Damn.
I was giddy about the
Kills a lot of birds. I only care about the people.
and burglars.
Like falling, and you're like, oh.
That's the Snyder. Yeah.
So Nolan shoots a shot of...
It rains birds on the army guys when he flies away.
So Nolan shoots this beautiful cinematic shot of Superman just going somewhere, and Snyder cuts back, and like there's bird blood and guts everywhere. Oh, Snyder.
An F-16 spiraling out of here. But it's G.I. Joe safe, so he's gonna, hit the eject button at the last second.
Sure. He'll get splattered by birds.
I just thought that was like a perfect like visual representation of like every time you think of like, hey, no, it's Superman, and you think of like the comic, like you see him flying in the comic, but the actual visual thing of like, oh, they can finally like show it like to me realistically on the screen is like that. Because me and my cop friend were talking about that on one of my graveyard shifts. And he was just like, I know, that was so cool, right? I was like, I know, I want to go see it just for that. And it's just like, we talked about him just the teaser of like that for like 20 minutes. It's just that,
But we've talked about Superman Jim for now. Over now.
Should be out stopping burglars, that cop.
I love the way it doesn't make a sound. We don't get a lame sound as he's flying.
A swoosh?
Yeah.
Or he doesn't have to say up, up, and away every time.
That's him signaling. Back in the old days, that's him signaling the guy who pulls the string, like the harness. Like.
I thought it was for the radio show so we could know when he was flying. They didn't have a sound.
Yeah.
This is
I think you're right. I just like
String guy works too.
String guy. Up, up, and away. Oh, he's fucking asleep again.
Hey, it's time to pick up Georgie. Yeah. Well, I think we're all very excited about it. Now we should revisit this whenever it comes out. We get to go see it. We should talk about it some more.
I'll be like
I fucking hate it.
This movie's balls. Don't fucking see it.
We'd be like, they really did the bird guts thing. I can't fucking believe it. I can't.
You heard it. You heard it here first, unless you drew it. In which case, you're Zack Snyder. In which case, stop fucking listening. You're too rich for this.
Like, do you want to look at some random back issues and
No, let's do it.
we just make fun of them? There's no.
Oh yeah. So I guess this is part where we go back issue diving.
Literally a Scrooge McDuck style dive into the.
Wouldn't that be fun? And
Probably
also
fun.
incredibly unsatisfying.
Some of this time I just picked it through the garbage. I don't know. I have them. They're there. And today I'm looking at Techno Comics, which until I had picked this up, I'd never heard of this company before. It's a book by Neil Gaiman, and not Neil Diamond, like I said once.
Should also point out that comics has been misspelt with an X instead of a CS.
Well, is that even how you spell techno?
Valid point. The comics makes me cry a little. That's what I'm pointing
So
out.
the big selling point is this is
Not
Dave.
the spelling.
Not the selling, but also inside of this comic, besides the story, has a game piece and a trading card. It doesn't say what it's for, but it's in this.
It's the one you're missing to your Monopoly. It's the thimble. We're getting the thimble back.
So there's this steampunk gentleman with this awesome mustache and this like dinosaur J.P. Morgan type character, and he's like stolen his hand. He's burgled his hand, like it's missing. Also, the moon's red for some reason.
See, I thought he was like Mega Man, but his hand isn't.
Maybe he's Dinosaur Lincoln. I don't know.
I've seen a lot of pictures of this character, but I've never read it. Or if I did,
I just want to ask his creator why the mustache was necessary, because assumingly it's made out of. That's my feeling. We're not being attacked by laser beams. Yeah, I want to know why he built a steel mustache.
So yeah, we open up. It looks like the Temple of Doom, basically. There is some people pulling stuff, hot pots of fire into other pots, and there's like a lot of yelling going on.
Chanting, maybe. Or just moaning.
Yeah, and Dinosaur Lincoln. Looks like they're building a bunch of robots, and there's some laser fire that kills people indiscriminately. Basically, this is before people had 8-hour work days. And safety.
Seems to be some sort of giant vacuum cleaner of doom as well.
The raw materials were plentiful. The plan for their use had been refined since hell itself. Is this hell? Is hell run by a dinosaur named Abe Lincoln?
A dinosaur.
Oh my god. It all makes sense now.
Very clever.
Earth, yes. This one will do. This one is... Okay, so apparently these metal menaces are meant to attack Earth. And there's some guy in stilts in the background for no good reason. He's just on stilts.
Yeah.
Oh, there's multiple guys in stilts.
Oh my god, you're right.
They changed the light bulbs in hell.
He does not yet have his mustache.
We cut to modern day, and it's just the stuff happening. Like, houses are getting built, this will's getting read, and there's a mime.
And she's so cute.
Yes.
That's a line. No, I don't find the mime cute.
No, she just looks... I've always been terrified of mimes, personally.
It's like, talk, damn you.
Right. So yeah, there's this, I'm constantly in the friend zone type Slam Bradley looking character who's like, how are you doing? She's like, I'm a good
There are a
man.
lot of characters of Slam Bradley.
It's a cool name.
Everybody reminds you of like an aging PI.
I really like the giant billboard that simply says safety. Like we're advertising it as an important
They
medium.
sell it.
Safety.
Yeah.
Apparently, this structure is called the New Egyptian Hall, the Magic Club, and a museum. Fancy that. That's like having your spa inside of the Hostess Factory. I don't know why either of those things would be together, but they're there. Also, it's safe.
Safety.
Brought to you by Safety.
So we have like a panel and a half of, haha, lady can't use a crowbar correctly. Until she gets this box open. I don't even know why she's Maybe she's burglarizing this box.
Oh.
She might be a burglar.
Smell crossover.
I do.
Look out, AVX.
A pile of junk. No, wait, it's a Mr. Hero.
Without a head?
So wait a second. Dinosaur Lincoln made this robot to conquer Earth, who's just in the back of this building.
And they put him in a
In
random
pieces.
box, is that?
Does he come with instructions? You have to assemble the Hellbot 9000 to conquer Earth. That's what I want to know.
He's definitely
Run
missing
by,
a head.
24 double D battery.
Look at this. It is an ancient keep, a tank with dinosaur talons, and a modern high-rise all at the same time. Someone consumed a lot of peyote before they made that building.
It does kind of look like a bong, but
It does. Next
brought to you
panel.
by Safety.
I don't understand what's going on. Like, Dinosaur Lincoln's, like, trying to order food, I guess.
He's got a menu.
He does have a menu.
He does. He probably, let me guess, he eats people, right?
Oh, yeah, he says, I'm in no humor for the aftertaste of preserved and sand. I imagine Dinosaur Lincoln talking just like that.
Daniel Day-Lewis playing this guy.
Yeah,
Could he do it? The ultimate method actor. Can you play?
Could he play Dinosaur Lincoln?
Can you play Dinosaur Lincoln?
There's some guy, I don't know what is going. I like how all evil 90s corporate people have to play like indoor golf. That's a rule.
Yeah, and what does he have? A rat.
Is that
and
like, yeah.
Oh,
A
the
mouse and a
fiend
ball.
is playing golf with a live animal inside the golf ball.
No.
He has cut holes in the ball
Really
for it,
hates him
though,
already.
so...
Yeah, but I think he hits it too hard. It says whack here in big letters. Then it cuts to her eating. Maybe he eats the rat afterwards.
She's saying wow, too.
Really jumping around. It's like reading The Invisibles.
I know, right?
I still love the billboards. APTs for rent.
Okay, so I guess this is kind of the backstory of Mr. Hero. Like, he's this kind of steam-powered Wonderbot. I guess kind of like the robot in the 1936 World, Seattle World's Fair, or whatever.
Okay.
And it looks like he's like a polkist or something. Like, he's trying to fight this dude. But then, like, he kicks this dude's ass, and now he's no longer a fighting robot. Maybe he kills him. Maybe he's the Mike Tyson of fighting robots.
He suddenly gained his
He
mustache
bit his ear.
as well.
The mustache upgrade.
The
came out
mustache was
years
the
later.
upgrade, I guess.
Oh my god, this is Dudley Robot. I've discovered everything. Oh, look, here's my little thing. It's Prime Master.
You've got a trading
It's
card.
Prime
You
Minister.
actually got a trading card.
Leonard Nimoy's Primortals.
That's the one I was talking about.
Oh, really?
That's the one I had.
That is
Wait,
crazy.
that's Leonard Nimoy?
Well, this isn't a
No,
picture
no,
of Leonard Nimoy.
That is,
But it
It
says
was
right
on
here.
P90X during the...
Leonard Nimoy's Primortals. So I guess at some point, for Techno Comics, Leonard Nimoy had a hand in creating the book.
I think they all have like a Steven Spielberg thing where they didn't really do anything. They just slapped their name on that cover.
Wait.
Like Neil Gaiman's really slumming it. If
You're
he's
seeing
doing...
this, right?
Hey. At St. Anyone's Gallery, they have Mr. Hero's head in the bicycle.
Because
Saint Anyone. I like that name.
me too. It's very, very
Very
catchy.
inclusive, I feel. It's very,
Are you nuts? I can't give you money for your stupid rope. I like how she's drawn a diagram of how she's gonna put it on. Like literally, it's like a 5-year-old sketch of a robot head. Just getting arrows pointed to it
Her
to attach it.
boyfriend / dad or whatever brother doesn't let her out of the house. That's it.
She has all the innocence of a homeschooler. I
And
like
none
how
of the quality education.
The quality education. Robots are the devil, don't you know? And wash your hands 5 times and say 7 Hail Marys. I will not spend money on that infernal death machine. So somehow she cons the money out of him, gets the bicycle.
Oh, it's not Saint Anyone's, it's not just anyone's gallery. We just
Oh,
weren't seeing the whole title.
So it was just a victim of bad paneling.
So that, you know what? If we go back, really look at that safety sign. Maybe it says no safety. We're not seeing that.
Finally, I understand everything. So she takes the bicycle home, beats his head off of it with a screwdriver and hammer. Very technical work here, and just kind of slaps it on his head, and he comes to life and says, "Good day."
Would he not speak like a Dalek, however?
Good day.
Good day.
Permit me to introduce. No, I'm afraid of robots. And in her technophobia, she kills him. I guess. Was he even alive in the first place?
Oh, that's a big question for this part of the podcast.
I feel like I'm delving into Blade Runner territory here without even needing to. Okay, so I guess the ball rat is still alive, or that's just a new one.
I think it's a hamster.
Maybe it is a
Oh,
hamster.
okay, yeah.
It's a
That would make more sense.
It's a hamster and one of those little ball things, which is actually unsafe.
I want you to deploy the chameleons to Sector 974. Los Angeles, you moron. Okay, so chameleons are going to Los Angeles.
Buy me chicken, Hodges. Lots of it.
What is going on in this book?
My city screams.
Oh my god!
Buy me chicken.
With their secret ninjas.
Hand over Mercurius units Primus and Canis, or lunar it means to cross the dark commune. So these guys were literally just standing against the brick wall, and they've just come out of it, and they've got
very specific disguise. You know, like they're like, we gotta get them to walk down this one street. We have the red bricks.
You have to be standing in exactly the right position.
And like one's holding like a harpoon, one's got like a hatchet, one's got like a rolled up newspaper. They all look
gonna help.
They all look really.
He's probably what came up with the costume.
Apparently, they're also Jewish because he just threw a Star of David at him. Hodges.
They've also all got eye holes, so surely if you were walking along, you would see 4 pairs of eyes glowing out of the walls.
Okay, so
Lower rings.
So these guys are like basically dinosaur Abraham Lincoln's Foot Clan, I guess. So they run inside a New York building, and they stick a harpoon through it. Her friend-zoned love interest gets killed by ninjas. And
oh, he is getting killed by ninjas.
It looks like it.
That's pretty
Or maybe it's the one with the rolled up newspaper. Maybe he's
he's getting swatted by ninjas.
Thump, crash.
Take that, interloper.
Very ugly face top of.
Okay, so how do you get the head back on? I'm confused. Like, it's just back on. She knocked it off with the crowbar.
Maybe he put it on.
Oh, okay. I guess she's reaching for the screws in this panel and making a stupid face.
Yeah.
So
she's like.
She is making click, click, woof, thump, thump. Obviously.
Bodily functions of some kind.
I love this guy's text. Unhand the boy, you rotter. That sounds like something you'd say, Seb.
He's very British. I love it.
Very.
I also like Mr. Hero, the pneumatic man, spelled as like new, not old, matic. Again with the fantastic spelling of Techno Comics.
Oh bother! He just gets hit with a rolled up newspaper. He's like, oh bother. Why are these guys? Okay, I guess they're concrete now.
After Spelling Comics went under, Techno Comics scooped up all of their licenses.
So he kind of slaps all of them with his non-existent hand.
That's for you, you blooming bully, son.
Realizes axes are not very effective against metal men. What happens to this guy? Like he just like points at him and he goes flying backwards.
Maybe he has a machine gun in that fist.
Maybe. It makes thwack sounds when
Yeah.
it shoots bullets. Here, you dogs, come back and take your desserts. And it's like, next time, Mr. Tin Man. And they fade into the wall. because why not?
We happen to bring our beige wall costumes too.
Okay, so I guess Hodges is still alive. He just got hit with the one with the newspaper. And C3...
Hit me with a paper.
C3PO...
Sunday edition.
C3PO picks him back up and they walk off into the sunset. And Dinosaur Lincoln is pissed. Why haven't you guys gotten him? He has his arm. I don't know why he has his arm.
He almost looks like a frog, too, in certain things.
Yeah, he's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex bullfrog.
Yeah.
He's got a nail file as well. He's giving the disembodied mechanical hand a manicure.
Yeah, he has quite a muffin top in this panel. I don't know if that's balloon pants or him just being fat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you might. Oh, he's having that.
I thought he had some sort of cushion on his lap. That's literally his donk.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Mr. Hero, the Mac-Man, number 1. That was an
One of many,
interesting
I'm
read.
sure.
Yeah, we have to thank Neil Gaiman for that one.
Okay, let's see. Let's read a letter from the editor. Adam Bowles, or DJWO5B at Prodigy.com, says, I've seen the ad for Techno, and from the looks of the people working for it, Gaiman, Nimoy, McCaffrey, it has to be good. I might just waste some more money on your comic books. Waste? Not likely.
Oh, snap.
Wouldn't it be amazing if Adam Bowles is listening to this? And he's going, yes! I'm finally
He's going-
famous!
He takes the gun out of his mouth, you know? He's like, somewhere, suddenly I'm not so different.
So yeah, that's the back of the book has an ad for Primortals.
I definitely have this.
Okay. Well, if you have it, then maybe you have to follow up on.
Had it when I was
Mr.
a kid.
Hero.
I don't know if I still have it. I just remember
So,
that
yeah.
comic. So there's like the one I had was number 2. Aliens or something. Like this is when I was like first learning to read, or I don't want to say that and be like March '95. I was a slow kid. But no, like I could read it, but I didn't really get what was going on. You know, it was something about like aliens coming to Earth, and they all looked like it's like there was like a rhino dude and like a horse guy.
Right.
Yeah.
It was by Leonard Nimoy.
That's crazy about Leonard Nimoy. I didn't know he ventured off into all of these territories.
I couldn't read the big words till like 98.
And even then, your spelling was so atrocious.
Because of the I love extreme spelling in the 90s. Extreme with triple X's. That's number 1. Kind of underwhelmed by it and overwhelmed at the same time.
The cover looks pretty cool.
I
and
can't
the
believe that
interior
Neil Gaiman actually wrote something
can I see the
Sure. Knock yourself out.
Was it actually Neil Gaiman who wrote it, or did he just create
I was gonna
the
look at
thing?
this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a Spielberg thing. Right? Yeah. Based on a concept scribbled on a napkin by Neil Gaiman.
Oh, wow.
Writer is James Vance. Penciler Ted Slampiak.
Slampy-yak.
So,
Inker Bob McLeod. Inker's done a lot of work actually. John Workman letterer. He's lettered a ton of stuff. He lettered those Thor Visionaries I had down here.
so do you think the created, scribbled on a napkin by Neil Gaiman continues with whilst drunk?
Yeah, he was like, I got it, yeah.
They like stole it from him. They're like, that's a great idea. They like snatched
Pull it, yeah. It was like a tissue. He like used to blow his nose.
He's drunk, he won't notice. We'll make a ton of money off this.
Honestly, I think I was duped like the first time that first bought this book. I saw his name on the cover. It's gotta be good. Never heard of it.
Neil Gaiman's Mr. Hero.
I'll spend 50 cents on this, but of course it's.
It doesn't even mean he wrote it. You know,
Yeah.
within the you don't know within the story, Neil Gaiman could be in the comic, and that is his Mr. Hero.
Maybe he's done
this bit of punctuation implies Mr. Hero belongs to Neil Gaiman.
This is true.
Kind of like Reese's Pieces. Just the apostrophe in the
Is Neil Gaiman in the public domain?
Maybe. We'll have to wonder about that next time, I guess.
Next time.
Back issue diving.
Superman, man, am I glad to see you.
What are you doing on this deserted road?
Some guys from school drove out here and we're going to start fooling around with drugs. When I told them all drugs do is mess up your head and get you in a lot of trouble, they kicked me out of the van and drove off.
You're right not to get involved in the drug scene. Nobody with any sense wants any part of it.
How do I get home?
That's no problem at all.
Super